Hello guys, Jared here, and I'm going to do a rant on the third film in the Smokey and the Bandit trilogy, Smokey and the Bandit 3, and this is, as far as I'm concerned, the final film in the series, because, there were some, made-for-TV ones in the 90s or something, but, not with Burt Reynolds or whatever. Although, I do consider this part of the series, and, Burt Reynolds only has, a small cameo in this. But, at least in this, it does still have, the other cast members from the other films, like Jackie Gleason and Paul Williams, Jerry Reed, Pat McCormick. So we didn't really get, for this film, we didn't really get Burt Reynolds or Sally Field back, Burt Reynolds only has, a small cameo in this, and this basically focuses more on the sheriff and his son, and we also have Jerry Reed as the snowman. He basically puts on the persona of the bandit in this, and this movie is just awful, unwatchable. The sheriff and his son were definitely a big highlight of the first two films, but having him as the main character doesn't quite work. And in the first two, it's shocking because in the first two, the sheriff and his son were just hilarious. But in this, it's just the delivery and the timing on the jokes is just so bad. And the comedy in this is just so tired and forced. I will say, in this one, you do have the main theme song for this is called Buford T. Justice, which is the name of the sheriff. It's sung by Ed Bruce, and it's quite a nice song. It's probably the best part of the movie. And in the first two, of course, you had Jerry Reed, who plays the snowman. He also did the songs for the soundtrack. But in this one, the main theme song is the Buford T. Justice, Fearless Law, Texas. And, it's by a guy named Ed Bruce, and it is quite a catchy song. But the movie is just so boring, and it reminds me so much of the Alan Arkin Inspector Clouseau movie, if anyone's seen that, where I'd say both films, are comedies, but they're more funny as in bizarre, rather than funny as in they make you laugh. It's not at all an entertaining film, but it's just such a bizarre and strange film. And the fact that this is a movie that exists, is much more interesting than, the actual story of the movie, So yeah, the plot is essentially just a rehash of the first film, but with, Jerry Reed as the snowman, being the bandit. And this one's a 15. The first two were PGs, and I do remember this has more, nudity in this, than the first two, but just showing tits, doesn't make, a movie better, and it's also weird that there's it's a 15 and there's proper nudity in it, because the first two were actually quite family friendly. They did have a bit of swearing, but they only said stuff like shit and bitch, there wasn't a lot of stronger language, I think shit and bitch were the only swear words they said in the first film, in the first two, but it's just quite strange that this is trying to be a more adult version. And ass as well. I think that they say, I think shit, bitch, and ass are the only swear words they use in the first two films. So it is quite strange that there's proper tits in this movie. Another interesting behind the scenes fact about this movie is there was well, not a fact, it was a rumour that originally the third film was going to be called Smokey is the Bandit, where instead of in the final film it's Jerry Reed as the snowman becomes the bandit. Apparently in the original version Jackie Gleason was going to play both the sheriff and the bandit, but apparently it did really badly with test audiences, so they changed the story to be Jerry Reed becoming the bandit, and it is just a rumour, but there is kind of evidence for it in the film, because in some scenes you can actually see that Jerry Reed's stunt double is much fatter than him, which is obviously because it was supposedly, originally intended to be Jackie Gleason's stunt double. So I think, yeah, by the fact that in some scenes you can see that Jerry Reed's stunt double is much fatter than him, I'd definitely say because of that there is a possibility that that rumour might be true. But that's much more interesting than the actual film itself. The film itself is just awful, unwatchable. It's just trash. Go watch the first two films because they are much better than this, and this just gives a bad name to the Smokey and the Bandit franchise. So yeah, thanks for watching my review, and yeah, bye.